Hey everyone, it is Katie G and Elisa D and our show Let's Get Therapy. We have another fantastic topic for you today, and I'm going to let Elisa D take it away.
Here I am, and we are going to talk about core beliefs. What are core beliefs? Core beliefs determine the way that you move about the world. They're such an important thing for each of us to know about. So we want to talk all about core beliefs today. So when I say core beliefs, Katie, what's the first thing that comes to mind?
Well, first, you kind of got to break it down a little bit, I think, for some people that may not know immediately what exactly core beliefs are.
Right, exactly. So I think core beliefs can run the gamut. It can go all the way to I am a Democrat, or I am a conservative, or it can go to I am a male, I'm a female, I'm non-binary. It can go to I'm worthy, I'm unworthy, I'm responsible, I'm irresponsible. And those are the ones that we want to look a little bit more closely at. How do you see yourself? What makes your identity what it is? And that's what I want to really focus on today.
Okay, I like that, because when you say core beliefs, like one thing that I believe is that honesty is key. Mm-hmm. I really try in my life to be as honest, not just with my loved ones, but with myself as I can.
And how do you think you got that core belief? Where did that come from?
I've been lied to. I have tried to tell a lie, not many, but I've lied before. Mm-hmm. And it doesn't feel good doing it or receiving it. And they always end up causing more problems than positives, I think. So once you start being dishonest with your loved ones, or even worse with yourself, mm-hmm. I feel like it's a downward spiral from there. So I try to avoid that as much as I can.
I totally agree. And I would imagine that there is a time and a place that you can go back to in your memory where you remember thinking like, lying doesn't work. I have to be an honest person. This is something that I need to make a core belief. This needs to be a way that I move about the world. And so we're kind of getting into value systems too. So value systems can definitely intertwine with core beliefs. I think that value systems are a whole nother topic that we could focus on in another episode. Okay. But I want to look at, how do you view yourself? What makes you who you are? And most of us can look back throughout time and we can go, I'm smart. And there's a time where you really started believing like, I am an intelligent person. Or there may be a time that you can ring all the way back to and go, I'm stupid because so-and-so told me this, so-and-so told me this, or I raised my hand in class and the teacher rolled her eyes at me. And we have a point in time that we can look back on and go, oh, that's where that came from.
Okay.
And so that really, that determines how we go about our lives. If you hold the core belief, I'm stupid, then most likely you're not going to ask questions, right?
Okay, yeah.
Because you're afraid that somebody else is going to know or think that you're stupid.
Okay, so your core beliefs have a lot to do with what you put out into the world. Like that is it.
Absolutely.
Okay. Yeah, I had those moments where I'm like, wow, I problem solving queen in this situation. And then I've also had those moments where I'm going, probably could have handled that a little better. And it's weird because I don't know if this is a kind of a generic thing or if this is just me. I hold on to those negative ones for a lot longer.
Right.
They have more of an impact on me than when I do something great. I'll, cool, okay, maybe a little mental pat on the back, but that goes away. But when I screw up, man, it hits for a long time.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And I think that really speaks to what is your actual core belief, right? So okay. Is there a genre that you can think of bad choices that you make that really stick with you, or bad situations that really stick with you? Like if it's around choice or responsibility or self-esteem? I know that's a hard question.
Yeah, I would say responsibility, just when it comes down to there are certain times where I don't follow through on something. I try obviously to avoid that, but you know, if I drop the ball on something, that's right there, instant stomach ache, and I'll dwell on it for a while until I can get out of it.
Instant stomach ache. So that is how you know that, oh, there's a core belief of mine. And we have to start, and we've talked about this before, but challenging those core beliefs that give us those stomach aches, that give us the headaches, that give us that like nauseous type of feeling. We have to challenge those. So responsibility. I think there is like 4 or 5 buckets that I think where we hold our core beliefs. I would say responsibility, safety, choice, power, and value.
Okay.
So you're talking about responsibility. I should have known better. I should have done something differently. I should have followed through differently. I should be blamed for this situation, right?
Yeah.
So think way back. Is there a moment in time where you remember feeling like, oh, I should have followed through better on that, and this is my fault, and I'm going to hold on to this feeling and this belief?
Oh yeah, I have absolutely been there multiple times, actually.
Okay, tell me the one that stands out the most strongly.
I would say that there was an event that I was supposed to attend, and I had confirmed that I would be there, and it was for someone who is very special to me. And I actually got on a plane and flew there and ended up having a full-fledged panic attack when we landed. And I turned around, I bought a plane ticket, and I flew home 10 minutes later. And
Wow.
and I didn't go to the event. And this was 8 years ago. And to this day, that was stupid. Yeah.
So what part is stupid to you? That you flew back?
Yeah, that I didn't just, now here, I can speak, I promise.
Well, I'm hitting on something for you.
Yeah, so
really important.
What I know now about my anxiety and how my panic attacks go,
right?
All I really had to do was just calm down for a minute, get my composure, and tough it out. Right. And I've had to do that before, and I've done it. And I just wasn't patient enough with myself or the situation, and made this choice. And it's still, I mean, and you know what? It's weird. Every year when the day on that day goes by, I actually almost have like a bad day regardless.
So it haunts you.
Yeah, pretty much.
So there is this belief that I'm not good enough if I don't follow through on what I said I'm going to follow through on. Or if we go back to that specific event, I'm responsible for not pushing through this panic attack that I just had, and not just pushing through my anxiety. But what I would like to assert is that you were really doing the best you could with the tools that you had at the time.
Yeah. I would say that at the time, yes, I was doing what I felt was the best that I could, but looking back at it, I could have done more.
You could have done more. Mm-hmm. You could have sat through it, and you could have shown up. That's that's the belief that you hold to.
Yeah, you're right.
Did you know to do that beforehand? Like, did you have that skill at that time?
I've always, if I don't make it to something that I've committed to, I always feel bad.
Right.
But that was like the big, what the heck, Kate? Like really? Mm-hmm. And the next day was almost worse than that day. It was beat myself up to a pulp day. That was it. Mm-hmm. And yeah, I think that incident has made me push through more when I'm starting to panic instead of kind of like sinking into it.
Right. So that's a great example, Katie. Thank you for sharing that. I think so. What that's made Katie do is now at this, she goes, I got to come up with a different set of tools. This isn't working for me. I cannot move about the world just moving at the whim of my anxiety, moving at the whim of my panic attacks. And I'm not able to show up for the people I love. I'm not able to show up for these big events because I'm letting my anxiety and panic rule me. And so you came up with a set of beliefs that I have to show up. I find this to be a very important value, is showing up for what I say I'm going to show up for. And then on top of that, it's so integral to who you are that you decided, I'm coming up with new skills for this. I'm figuring this out. I never want to feel that way again.
Exactly. And that is a very true statement.
Right.
Yeah.
So there are these things throughout our lives that most of us we can settle back on events like Katie just did and go, oh yeah, that's what really helped me form that belief. That is why I move about the world the way I do. That is why I show up when I say I'm going to show up from now on.
Yeah.
Now, somebody could have a very different type of experience. Somebody could have shown up to that event still in their anxiety, still in their panic, and it could have gone very badly. And then they may have formed a new belief, right?
Right.
I don't have the skills to show up with my anxiety. I don't have the ability to put my anxiety aside. I need to avoid. I have to back up. So depending on how we really handle things, and in those big moments where it really matters, that's where we develop these types of belief systems. And fortunately, honesty and showing up are such a big thing for you. And you love people. People are your jam.
Yeah.
So it was like, I didn't show up. This is not okay. No longer can my anxiety rule me. I must find a new way.
Yeah.
So that's one great example of core beliefs, how it drives us. Another one that I find that people really cling to is, I'm not good enough. That seems to be one that really, really drives people. And it can drive them two separate ways. It can, same with the one that you just mentioned, it can drive you into just total avoidance because I'm not good enough. I'm never going to do anything good enough, right? Mm-hmm. Or I'm not good enough. I got to drive. I have to be successful. I have to prove myself. I have to be successful. I have to show everyone that I am good enough, even if I don't believe it for myself.
Okay. Yeah,
So
I can see how that can work in two totally different directions.
Right. And so then depending on the support system that you've put in place for yourself, and depending on like the voices that you have speaking to you, it's probably what's going to drive you one way or the other. So for you, you have, as you've mentioned before, an amazing set of parents.
Yes.
Who have probably really instilled this value of, you got to show up, Katie. This is what we do.
Yeah,
right?
We show up. Yep. That had a lot to do with it. And, they, in the whole realm of being good enough, that was, something that dealing with depression as a teenager, you question that a lot. But thank God for my wonderful parents, I was always being reminded that I was good enough.
Right.
But had I had a different support system, who knows?
Exactly. And so many people are just not that lucky. And so the idea of having to combat these feelings of negativity and these core beliefs that they've developed since childhood, combating them almost feels impossible because they've never had an outside influence to tell them, you are good enough. You didn't show up today because of your anxiety, but try again tomorrow, right? There's not that cushion and there's not that support system to help them have a new type of self-talk to challenge those core beliefs that they've developed. So fortunately for you, and a lot of other people, but fortunately enough for you, you do have that extra set of voices to really help you challenge those beliefs that are maybe irrational or don't make a lot of sense. But for those of us that don't have that, that's why therapy is so important. That's why developing community support is so important. Whether that's like through intramurals even, or being an activist in some way, like you have to develop a group for yourself that helps you challenge and develop a new voice for that negative self-talk that you have. And you know, a lot of it comes down to negative self-talk. So, and then, you know, regardless of how you're feeling or what you believe, you should always eat the Oreo.
Oh, oh, of course we eat the Oreo.
We absolutely do. So, okay, what have we learned today, Katie? I feel like, you know, that's tangible enough, and I would love to continue on this topic.
Yeah.
But what's the takeaway?
I think that it's really important, something that I've learned just here talking to you right now, is to kind of analyze your core values.
Yes.
Maybe, you know, do a little bubble chart and write them down, and just
I love that.
talking to you, for me, I'm going to do that here in a minute, and because I'm learning more about myself, and I think that that's always something really valuable too, and that's an extra tool to focus on.
And identifying, I think that's part of what you're saying, identifying what beliefs are not serving me, and what beliefs do I need to start challenging? And how do I do that? I bring people into my life. I read books. I look at podcasts like this that will help me develop a new voice to challenge those beliefs that are they're hurting me more than helping me.
Yep. I love that.
Amazing.
So on that note, I would like to tell our wonderful viewers, listeners, friends, family to follow us on Facebook and Instagram and YouTube now at Let's Get Therapy. You can contact us on Facebook and Instagram. We get great messages from you guys, and we love seeing the comments and the shares. So please make sure you follow us on our social media, because that is also where we post all of our episodes each Monday.
Yes. Thanks you for joining us on Let's Get Therapy.
We'll see you next week.